Hello, everybody, and welcome to Amaze On Stream. I'm Melissa Simonson. Happy to see you all, and welcome to Rich Goldstein. Many of you will know this well-recognized face. Hi, Rich. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, as we discussed previously, I really love to kind of get to know people on a more personal level than I think is fairly typical for events and for the regular e-commerce space. And so I would love to start out by learning, where did you grow up? Where was your home?
All right. Well, you sure you want to get to know me better?
Okay. I do.
All right. Well, okay, sure. I grew up in Staten Island, New York, kind of like Pete Davidson.
Okay.
Right. I lived there really most of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where it all got started in Staten Island. And back when I grew up in the 70s, it was a different place.
Yeah.
It was extremely strong community. And it's the type of place where everyone knows everyone else, at most through one other person.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that kind of a place. This area in Idaho is a very small town vibe as well. So everybody knows somebody who knows somebody else, and that's just how it goes here. So, Rich, what did your parents do?
So my dad was an engineer. He worked for the city of New York, designing heating and air conditioning systems, HVAC, for the various government buildings in New York City. And yeah, he went to work every morning, took the 6:20 a.m. train to catch the ferry to go into Manhattan.
Wow.
Walk uptown, like kind of very consistent routine. I remember going to work with him a number of times, like when he was able to take me with him when I was off from school. And yeah, like a very pragmatic guy. And that was his career from the time he graduated college until he retired in 94. And my mom was kind of a homemaker for a lot of years. And then when right around the time that I started high school, she went to go work at the post office.
Oh,
And
okay.
she also worked in Manhattan. She worked midnight to 8 a.m. In operating the machines that sort the mail. So she did that for a number of years, and then retired from that as well.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, given the professions that your family was in, your parents were in, did that kind of influence you? Did they kind of have a specific path in mind for you as you were growing up, sort of go to school, go to college,
Absolutely.
that kind of thing?
Very specific path. And and it's like children will kind of do one of two things. Like they will either kind of take on a path that is some type of combination of what their parents do, or take on beliefs that are some combination of what their parents' beliefs are, or they will rebel against them. So
Which
I
were
was in the
you?
latter category. Yeah, I was a rebel. My parents were very pragmatic, risk averse. My parents would never buy anything on credit. Everything they saved up for, if they were buying a new car, they had saved the money and now it was time to buy a new car, and they held on to it for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Credit card bills paid at the end of the month, like like really pragmatic, risk averse. Meanwhile, me, at 6 or 7 years old, I was talking about how I was going to have 6 different companies that I was running, and I had all of these entrepreneurial ideas. And they embrace that it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I guess it never seemed too high stakes for them until I was ready to graduate law school. And then at that point, I had decided I'm not getting a job. Like everyone else in law school was really vying for that offer from a large law firm to go work 70, 80 hours a week. It's like, I'm not doing it. And I decided I was going to start my own firm. And my around the time that I was finishing law school, and I had that plan in place. Like my parents bumped into a very good friend of mine, and they asked him, so, "Don't you think that Richard should get a job? Like, don't you think so?" Like, and they had expressed it to me too, but they're kind of afraid to uh, express certain things to me, to confront me on certain things.
Right.
But I found out now secondhand just how concerned they were. Because to me, they had said, if you get one of those jobs, then you get vacation time, and you'll have the money to go the places that you want to go, and do the things that you want to do. And it's like, no, I'm not doing it. But again, when my parents bumped into to my friend that day and expressed some real worry that was, carried on to me third hand,
Mhm.
I really got it. Like I was really taking a path that just was not okay for them.
Yeah. And was that the only like interference? They just wanted to make sure, that you were on the right path, and they kind of talked to your friend a little bit. Did they
Yeah, pretty
do anything
much.
else overt?
Pretty much. Like their parenting style was they were never really forceful about things
Yeah.
with me. As a matter of fact, I never had a curfew. I didn't really have a lot of rules. They didn't really intervene very often. I mean, I
Was
was the
this
third
because you
kid.
were a good kid?
It's because I was the baby. I was the baby in the family, and so I guess they had their experience with my older brother and older sister, and they kind of decided to just let Richard do things Richard's way, and it pretty much worked out, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, I mean, you're a
But yeah,
lawyer, you're a successful
I did
guy.
not grow up in strict surroundings, but
Yeah.
again, I was definitely against the grain in terms of like, um, them being extremely risk averse and me kind of being, ready to fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah. Do you think that it influenced you into going into law school at all? Kind of this ideal path that they were looking at?
Yes, it actually did because, well, for one, and this is where I did listen to them. When I was in college, I was studying electrical engineering, and then I got interested in business, and I thought like, I'll just change my major to business.
Hmm.
And they were very against that. They were like, finish the engineering like that, like it's a much better path, blah blah blah. And I did listen to them,
Yeah.
and then I also discovered while I was studying engineering that there was this path called patent law, where you become an engineer, where once you have an engineering degree and you go to law school, you can become a patent lawyer, because in order to be a patent lawyer, you need to be a lawyer and have an engineering or science degree.
Oh,
So it did. It did in a way that and I hadn't thought about that. Is that yeah? I mean, I did listen to them in terms of finishing my college education, and
right.
that did set me up for the rest. But
Is it
but that was on me to decide to go to patent law, go to
right?
law school, and go for patent law.
Yeah, maybe kind of taking some of what you wanted to get into and some of the influences of your past, and creating a new path forward.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
amazing.
But there's a very strong influence, a very strong kind of mandate to go to college.
Hmm.
And that didn't come from my parents. It came from my grandmother.
Oh,
My grandmother, um, my father's mother, um, she did not go to college, but she was the valedictorian in our high school. And of course, it was a different time, and so women weren't really expected to go to college or a higher education. And so she placed an extremely high value on education,
right.
and like from a young age she had started setting aside money for us for college, and well, from our young age, not our young age, but yeah, so like it was pretty much a given in my family that you went to college.
Yeah.
And my and as a matter of fact, like my brother and sister, and myself, we all have graduate degrees.
Hmm.
So there was a pretty strong emphasis on higher education, and again, that
And
came from her.
how many siblings do you have?
I have two. I have an older brother and an older sister.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I'm the baby.
That's right.
Well,
I'm the
now
baby
I'm a
too.
52-year-old baby, but I'm still the baby of the family.
See, I had it in reverse though. Instead of, I think in some families they have like very strict rules for the first one or two, and then they kind of were like, meh, after that, because it becomes a lot, and then they realize, oh, there's not, you don't have to worry so much. For me, it was totally opposite. I had 8 brothers and sisters, and I had 8 parents, on top of my normal 2 parents. And my parents held on really tight to the very last one because they knew I was their last one. So I think I had sort of the opposite approach in my experience as the baby. So tell
Well,
me
I think
then,
when you have nine, when you have 9 kids, you have the right to rewrite the rules however you like.
you know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you that. My mom can make up any rules she wants. She's earned it.
Right.
So I'm curious, in terms of, in your schooling and going into college and stuff like that, did you do like side hustles? Did you have anything else going on, or were you really focused and very, one track mind for getting school done?
Oh, one track mind is totally not me. I was super ADD, right? I mean, and I consider that to be a big part of my success.
Yeah.
And while I was in college, I actually, when I first arrived at college, like before school even started, I started a business. I was selling beauty supplies. I was going into salons, 17-year-old kid, and I had a trunk full of stuff, whether it was hair cutting scissors, cuticle nippers, the various things that they use at a salon. And I was like, here I am. I sell salon supplies, blah blah blah, and I started that business. And so basically, what I was doing is, from that point on, once a week, making my rounds to visit my customers, and then also once a week, going back to New York City to buy the stuff that they ordered, and then repeat the cycle and deliver everything.
Wow.
So that was pretty much, my that was my side hustle.
So was this your spending money and like grocery money, or was this your party money? Because were you that guy in college?
Yeah, it was more my it was more my party money. I mean, I was making maybe a couple $100 a week,
Yeah.
which seemed like a lot back then, where like basically everyone, this is the late 80s, and everyone was, all my other friends were taking money out of the ATM $20 at a time.
Right.
I usually had like a pocket full of bills, right?
Yeah.
Some of it was not profit. It was like, I sold like, $700 worth of supplies, 200 which was profit, but I had like $700 in my pocket,
Yeah.
while everyone else had like, $20.
Gotcha.
So it was
So
funny.
when
The
you
money
were
clip by my dad. That was the Staten Island influence. I had my money with the money clip.
oh yeah, you gotta.
My friends would look at me like, who the hell are you?
I can only imagine, especially at that time and in a small kind of town. That's pretty
Right.
awesome.
Yep.
So when you're pursuing, the patent side of things after you completed, your engineering degree, and you are now wrapping up your patent law side of things,
Mhm.
did you know you wanted to have your own firm? Did you think maybe you wanted to work at, like a top firm doing something else? Did you have any ideas?
Yeah, well, actually, I did initially. I was going for that, and so I went to, I got the coveted summer associate position, at working at a large, IP boutique law firm,
Oh,
summer of 1993. And for the summer position, the pay was $1,000 a week, which was like, that was good pay for a
yeah.
summer job, right? And they kind of treated you like a junior lawyer there. And part of that was that, you show up to work, and they, at first, they introduce you around to the different lawyers, but then it was up to you to kind of create some relationships and say, hey, do you have any work that you'd like me to do?
Mm,
And so it was really up to us, the summer associates, there's 4 of us, to kind of get some work. And then we keep track of time. for the different projects, but nobody told us what our hours were.
Mm.
Nobody told you like when is it okay to go home. So like we would be around the office all day, and then kind of, like, okay, is it okay to leave now? And that was part of the mind game of it all. Uh,
Oh,
and
jeez.
that's how they kind of get you indoctrinated to the law firm culture. Like
Yeah.
I've always feel like, am I doing enough? Am I doing
Right.
enough? Like, is this okay? And then like, um, the only thing I knew was that if you were there past 8 o'clock, they reimburse you for dinner.
Oh,
So
that's key.
that's the only clue. But does that mean we're supposed to be there past 8? So then I'm working there for a couple of weeks under these circumstances. Now again, you got to realize that like we're all thinking like we're going to work here for the summer, and by the end of the summer, we're trying to get an offer. Where like this was and after my second year in law school, so one more year of school, we want an offer so that when we graduate, they'll have us come on as a new lawyer for the firm. So that's the whole intention. That's what everybody's attention and everybody's focus is on, is like, finding our way that we fit into this culture, right? So
And was it
then
a
one day,
competition between the four of you?
um, not a whole lot. I don't think any of us really felt like there was scarcity. Like
Yeah.
there was somewhat of a demand for people with our specialty,
Yeah.
and so I mean, I think we all felt like all four of us could get offers, or none of us, but it wasn't like we were all competing for one position.
Gotcha.
But so about 2 weeks go by, and um, some friends of mine were getting together at this bar called Merchants on First Avenue. Maybe New York people will know that. Back in the 90s, it was a big after work place for 20 somethings. So it was 6:30, I think. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go meet them. I get on the elevator and I press the lobby button, and onto the elevator walks another associate, and like one of the lawyers who's been there a few years or whatever. And he looks at me and he says, only half a day. And
Oh no.
I was like, you know what? F this. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not like, that was the breaking point. That was the turning point. And
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I am never going to work at a law firm. I am going to, I'll do something else, but I am never going, I'm not going to do this. I'm not
Yeah.
going to play into this culture, this mind game type, law
Right.
firm situation. And, that was the moment that I decided that I would take the rest of the summer to learn as much as I could while I was there,
Yeah.
but not look for that job offer. I
Yeah.
didn't care about the job offer. I didn't want the job offer. Just want to learn as much as I could, and then I was going to do something else.
Right.
Um,
Okay. So it sounds like you had a pretty big moment. This is, I think that in people's lives, there's, a handful of moments that they can pinpoint and look back on that are like, that was the moment that I decided, or this is, this sort of changed the course for me, or it could have gone either way. It sounds like this was a moment for you
yeah,
where
wasn't that
you,
like from Deadpool that he said like there's 4 or 5 moments where you get to be a hero? Never mind. Any Marvel fans that listen will know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'll have
Uh,
to watch Deadpool now.
right. Yeah. So yeah, it was a big defining moment. And again, it's almost like it was a moment where the glass got shattered, and like this kind of illusion or this kind of lens I was looking through
Mm.
um got cracked, so that I could now see the crack in the lens. Like sometimes in life, like, yeah, I love this analogy. It's like if you ever put on a pair of pink glasses, then for a few moments you look around and you say, wow, look how cool everything looks. It all looks really pink.
Right.
Then after a little while, like it just looks normal, and you forget that you're looking through pink glasses.
Right.
So sometimes what it takes is like a little crack in the glass that you're looking through to realize that you're actually looking through the glass, and realize you're looking through a filter
Yeah.
that's filtering your experience. So that was kind of a moment where there was a crack in the glass, and I was like, oh, wait a second, what am I doing here? Like, I'm seeing it in a certain way. I'm seeing this as the most important thing to get this job offer, when maybe I don't need that. Maybe I don't want that.
Right.
And I think, those are the important moments, when you get to see that there is something other than what you've been seeing and been
Yeah.
looking for.
Well, and it's very interesting to me because oftentimes it's, the people around us as well. It sort of helps us set our expectations. And so having, these other people who are, competing to get hired, maybe not necessarily with each other, but, trying to prove their worth and do it in a pretty prescribed way, that's kind of game oriented and mind melding, for this internship kind of a thing. It sounds like, it's very easy to look at other people's reactions to things and assume that all of this is normal. So I think it really does take things like that where, it kind of cracks the glass, as you said, and that filter is broken and you're like, you're all being crazy and I'm not doing this anymore.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so, that's really what it took.
Yeah.
And, and so then I finished up law school and I started my practice, and, 28 years almost now, I'm
Wow.
still here.
That's so amazing. And you've written some books, right?
Yeah, well, I wrote my, this book, the ABA
Yes.
Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. This was a big achievement, because kind of what happened was, in 2012, 2013, 2014, I did a lot of traveling. You know that I do a lot of traveling now,
Yes.
right? But I was traveling a lot of different types of events, like, in Europe, and going to various types of innovation, entrepreneurial, um, and IP related events. Sometimes it wasn't such a direct match, where it's kind of like people would say to me, like, yeah, so you're a patent attorney, so why are you here? And really, the point of the question was, they were wondering why, what would make it really worthwhile for me to be there, meeting those people, and being at that group. And really, my answer was, I don't, I get what you're saying. I don't know how I'm going to monetize this. I don't
Right.
know what the path is going to be toward monetizing this. And then, like, one day in, I guess it was in 2015, I got a call from the American Bar Association, from the publishing, from one of the editors in the publishing department, and he asked me if I'd be willing to write a book for the American Bar Association
Wow.
to explain patents to entrepreneurs.
That's
And I'm
incredible.
like, that
How did
sounds
you
amazing.
feel? Like when you got that call, were
Yeah,
you just like,
I was like, I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing, and I asked, like, well, what made you pick me out of the 15,000 plus patent lawyers out there?
yeah,
Like, well, we see that you're out there, like, attending events and meeting people, and explaining to people about patents. And, well, I mean, that's what we want in an author. We want someone who's out there, like,
yeah.
meeting people. That's what sells books, as opposed to someone who's just, like, stuck in an office. And then also that they saw that I was out explaining things about patents, and that's like one of my superpowers, is taking complex things related to patents, trademarks, and breaking it down and making it understandable. So yeah, it was like all of those different things I did had led toward that moment where I got invited to write this book. And, this is probably the best credibility piece I could ask for, is to be the guy who wrote the book for entrepreneurs on patents for the American Bar Association, the largest
No
lawyer
kidding.
organization in the world.
This is the guy who literally wrote the book on it.
The guy. That's me. I'm the
That's so
guy.
great. Well, and that book is in my it's in my bookcase. And I know that, so many people are so grateful to have that book because it is exactly what you said. It takes a very complex thing, something that I think not only is a complex topic to begin with, but it's also intermingled with each other. People confuse trademark, copyright, patents, and what they have to do with each other, if anything, and sometimes attribute some things to one that really belongs to another. And I think you do such a great job of breaking down the differences between them, when legal action is required, when preemptive action is required, and what it means for entrepreneurs to protect themselves.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sing my song. You're singing my song.
Well, and I've heard you speak in so many conferences and things like that. It's such a pleasure not only to hear you on stage, because you're just very personable. You just start trying to explain stuff that you think people should know. But also, outside of the stage and just in regular conversation, you're just a guy. You're just like a very personable guy who likes to help people and likes to, be there for entrepreneurs. And I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, Rich, I want to know if people are looking to reach out to you, or they have questions about patents or trademarks or copyright or any of that stuff, aside from buying your book, what should they do to contact you?
Yeah, you can first of all, go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com. There are great resources there for learning about the process. You could also get in touch with my team to find paths or to discuss if it's a match to work together and what the path would be towards getting us involved and helping you with your situation. And also, I would say check out my podcast if you want to hear stories about people who have had an idea, who have had a concept, and then have taken a path toward bringing it out into the world. That's what I do. That's what the podcast is about: is innovations and breakthroughs. And I've had lots of interesting people, including your brother, on the podcast. I guess I should be more specific. Steve Simonson. You've got with 8 brothers and
Right.
sisters.
Could go anywhere with
Which
that.
one? Yeah, but that's something that's a lot of fun. I love, like your brother does. I like interacting with entrepreneurs and helping entrepreneurs.
Yeah, there's definitely a vibe. There's definitely an energy about entrepreneurs that I think is contagious, and I think it's good for the world. So thank you for all of the work that you do for entrepreneurs and all the help that you give to them. Is there anything you want to leave with anyone listening as sort of a message to entrepreneurs, or about starting business, or even your own specialty with IP and trademarks?
Yeah, I think it's just something that just popped into my head, is that the answer. You have like a lot of times we feel we don't know what's next. And I'm going to venture that you do know, but there's something that doesn't want you to accept that is the way. And so it's like kind of like following your passion and doing the thing which you really know in your heart is the thing to do. There are often these things that will confuse you and tell you like, well, yeah, but maybe not. And if you just sit with it and you allow and you're quiet with it, you will recognize that you already know the answer.
Yeah. Do you think it is helpful or beneficial at all to go to the people around you to get their opinions, or do you think that actually interferes with your ability to have a quiet moment and listen to yourself about it?
I think it's helpful and could be useful to get opinions of people around you, as long as you know how to hear it as a suggestion and not as the truth, because the people around you will not always tell you. There's always some type of filter that people are giving their advice through, and that filter is their own experience of life, which is different than your experience.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's useful. Sometimes what they have to share with you is useful. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you know the answer. You know what you need to do next.
I love that. And the wisdom to know the difference, right?
Right. Something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just came up with that on the spot. But like that was the immediate thing that popped into my head when you asked the question.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Rich. I really appreciate your words of advice and for getting personal and sharing something about, your life growing up and your family. That's a very special thing. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much, Melissa.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week on Amaze On Stream. We have some amazing guests coming up. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.